it became a little weird because a light was put in where it was his rant button, and it was basically a Dave don't talk button.
Wait, so there's literally a light bulb? What color was the light bulb?
There was 4 lights in a row.
There were 3 lights.
I'm serious. And when it was hit, I wasn't supposed to talk. And they said,
was it like a regular colored light bulb, or was it like red?
It was like a yellow, a pretty bright yellow, like like yield.
So it's like off camera, but in your eyesight.
Yes, and
would he be the one pressing the button, or was there a producer pressing the button?
He would press it.
So like Mr. Burns, like he had a button under his desk or the table, and when it's Steven's turn to talk and Dave needs to shut the F up, he presses this button.
Money?
Yes.
Well, please do go on.
I know you're a good man, and I have a dog that's very sick.
Oh, please continue.
I thought maybe you... Oh. Well, thanks for your time.
He had that. Well, and then I was told that he's like, well, that was always there. And I'm like, no, I would have noticed the light and been told about it. That's
if you want that, all right. If you want to believe that men have things like cooks, okay, cooks. I bet you probably think ladies. I bet you probably think ladies have
ladies.
Huh? I bet you probably think that. Look, if you want to be in a place.
What makes a man endanger his job and, yes, even his life by asking me for money?
People like dogs.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
You've done all the reading. You're a scholar. You're a professor. You've done all the reading. You've done the intellectual heavy lifting.
More or less, eat shit and die.
You wouldn't know a fact if it begged you all night long.
Want to give the wrong impression because I am very high.
Fucking ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
Care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is.
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody, to the Libertarian Podcast Review. It's Crowder Hour. Welcome, everybody. We're back on YouTube. Hopefully, everyone can hear us just fine. Let me know if you can't. We've got a few people in the chat already. JC's in there, loads of honey. Welcome, everybody. This is Tyler Yonke, your host. And yeah, are we going to do, am I Crowder obsessed? No. I got a tweet from one of our friends, and it seemed to be taking me it's odd and kind of the whole concept of what I recently was doing and my posts out about Steven Crowder. Once again, that was I played the intro there. I did a clip where Dave Landau, where he's using the button, and it's I haven't been a fan of Crowder for quite some time, but he did get me kind of into this space. Libertarian stuff kind of pushed me that direction. I found people that kept me going that direction. But I feel like I've left him behind, and he puts out an image, and when you kind of push back against that, or reality comes back and you're not kind of living up to what your image is, then things, kind of fall apart. With that in mind, and I'm going to walk through this, and maybe I should get right to it. I posted some things out here on Twitter. Oh man, now this is bothering me because I'm gonna have to do this. And someone said I had Crowder derangement syndrome. So I thought that was interesting, and I think actually problematic, because I don't believe that's the case at all. And maybe we'll show that tweet right here. Okay. Oops, I just had it up. Let's bring it up. So we're gonna walk through kind of the legal sides of this. This is our friend Raven. So I had posted here. So it starts out with this. There's this Steven Crowder, and we're gonna walk through this case. Okay, we're gonna walk through it, and I'm gonna do it from a family law perspective. Okay, so it starts out with Jared, not gay Jared, comes out and makes some claims about Steven Crowder. Then Gerald, the CEO, comes out and makes claims about Jared and Steven and Hillary in a divorce. And then Tim Pool chimes in. He says Crowder has to pay $25,000 in child support that his ex-wife uses to pay lawyers to go after him. He has to fund his own destruction. How fucked is U.S. divorce court? Okay, so then I reply, as a family law attorney, this is a frustrating take. There are lots of problems with the legal system in family court, but I doubt Crowder is being abused. His trad lifestyle had his wife staying at home and not working. And now she needs support and money to pay attorneys. I'll look into this more. Was what I said. But this doesn't seem to be a good test case pushing back on family court. Tim Cast, I'm available to hash this out at any time. So what did I say there? I said, this is a family court issue. I'm going to look into it more. And by the way, I just don't think you understand the concepts here. I'm not even really taking a side. And then our buddy Raven says, you have Crowder derangement syndrome. Okay. If I do, let's say this with Crowder, with Raven, if he's joking, perfectly fine. I'm happy with that. If he's not joking with me, then I have problems, because this is exactly, he's the exact person I'm pushing against, which is the people that can't read, and their reading comprehension. Once again, if Raven, I'll reach out to you. If you're joking, perfectly fine. If you're not, and you're serious about this is where this is a problem, because where does it say that I have Crowder derangement syndrome? Maybe from the video I posted? Okay, perhaps. But that's not what I'm saying. And I'm going to talk about this in a concept from both sides. And I think this is much like Israel, which is bad people, unlike Trump when he says in Charlottesville, bad people on both sides. I think there's bad people on both sides. And that's really what I'm getting at here. So Raven, I don't know what you're talking about, but just show me where. Because what did I say here? I said, I'm going to look into this more. You don't understand family law. And by the fact, and look, this is the problem with trads, right? Which is, I want my wife to stay at home. I want all these things. And then if she happens to leave me and I don't have a prenup, or maybe I've been a piece of shit, or I picked the wrong woman, that's on you too, trad, and you don't want her to leave. I get it. You want a no fault divorce, However, and if that's the case, then okay. I just spilled a beer in here. I spilled this all over my desk and I lost my train of thought. So anyway, we'll get back to it. Okay. Boy, oh boy, that was a rough one. If that doesn't happen in court, and if it does, Shannon says, "Oh my, hi JC," and JC saying hi to Shannon. Everyone's saying hi to everyone. There we go. What did I have to? I was going to say something about the trads. And they're, I know what it is. So if they're going down this method and this is what they want, but then they live in a state that doesn't afford them these protections that they're actually acting like they want, then are they living in Tradanistan in their head? Like Ancapistan? Because the reality is, here's the court, and here is how it's going to rule against you or for you, and you didn't do anything to take care of it, and this bitch could leave you, and if she does, she's going to take your money. And you've got to understand that, okay? And then you don't get to just come out like Tim Pool and go, oh my God, I don't understand this. But we're going to walk through all of it. Okay. More tard than trad. I get it. Oh my God, not the beer. Fuck that guy. Don't pronounce him. Okay, we need him more on the front lines. I'm fine. Tasty. Okay, let's get into it, folks. Let's get into it. Okay, I think instead of playing, we can play part of Jared's, and by the way, I'm going to walk through the family law stuff, but I wanted to get a little bit of context with all these things going on. By the way, it was the second week in a row. I did some tweet on the cycling side about this guy had COVID, and I made some joke. I got just blown up with that. And then this thing with Jared blew up. Then some more stuff with family law things blew up here on Twitter. I was so bad. Once again, I'm just kind of a person, and I'm busy. I'm like, I can't handle one-offs, and there's 20, 50, 100 and some replies here. I can't take care of it. So I just threw my hands and I went to work. And what did I do? I went to court to defend young black men. That's what I did this week, at least, against the tyranny of the state and ex-wives. So that's what I did. And I think I did it fairly well. Okay, let's start here with Jared Monroe. He was not gay Jared on the Louder with Crowder show. Steven Crowder, they had some fun times together, and then he left. I'm not going to play the full 15 minutes, but I think I'll start out with the very beginning here. And by the way, he makes some really dumb claims like it's unconstitutional that he signed an NDA with Steven Crowder. Not true. But we'll forgive everyone for not really knowing what the fuck they're talking about.
This can't go on any longer.
Can't.
And as the famous saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant.
All right.
So here we go. I'm currently being legally abused and intimidated into silence by a former employer. This has been going on for a while now, and I simply cannot live in darkness for another day. But I am asking for your help to fight back. First, some context. In late October of 2023, to my surprise, I was served these papers. A cease and desist from my former employer. It threatened severe legal action in the form of a lawsuit and demanded I cease communications with my friends. The scare tactics of cease and desist are generally to intimidate, isolate, and eventually devastate. Like most cease and desist, it also demanded that I swiftly provide them written certificate of my compliance. I did not. In the same delivery, I was also served these papers. A Rule 202 petition from my former employer. You can look that up on the internet.
Crowder?
I know I had to. These documents were filed with the county court of my former place of employment, demanding that I be subject to an oral deposition under oath for an unlimited amount of time, where they were free to interrogate me on pretty much any private matter that they chose. Also, in this petition for discovery, they demanded that I turn over documents of all communications with more than a dozen of my friends, an unlimited amount of unnamed persons in any form and over an unlimited period of time. I did not. Now, I did not for a few reasons. Number one, I have seen how this employer handles legal issues, and I knew that once I opened the door to legal abuse, it would never, ever be shut. This is how they operate. In fact, I'm not the only one who's a current victim. My former employer is exploiting the legal system to abuse others right now, all in the darkness, fully knowing that the fear and risks it takes to speak up. This kind of harassment at the hands of the powerful isn't just designed to financially ruin somebody, it's designed to cripple their soul.
Okay, let me make a few comments in here real quick. One, cease and desist. It's got no legal bearing other than to send a warning to a prospective person, hey, better watch out, because if you don't, we're going to conduct legal affairs against you. And I just had was it a client? No, it's a former client reach out to me about, I don't want to get into this because it's part of my legal battles I got going right now with a former employee. And now he's working at a new place and she's bad-mouthing that place, and they send her a cease and desist. Now, the guy that she's bad-mouthing is a complete criminal. It's perfectly fine. But she's saying things that might be hindering that business now. So she gets this, and what does she do? Well, basically nothing. Although I'm like, look, you don't want to necessarily go down the road. What's the point of pushing the envelope and getting a lawsuit with a big company? That's probably not what you want to do. It doesn't mean much. Move on. But when you are scorned, woman scorned, man scorned, gay Gerald scorned, sometimes that doesn't matter. Okay. You don't understand. You want everyone, as an example, we've got so many examples out there in the politics or celebrities, you act a certain way. Everyone thinks you're a certain type of person, right? Steven Crowder as an example. He goes in, he gives relationship advice. He's done that in his show for years, but his own relationship is a piece of shit, right? Or he talks about being a good guy and he complains about contracts and with the Daily Wire, but then he does ridiculous stuff with Dave Landau, Owen Benjamin, and Jared Monroe, Jared Metello or whatever, or Jared, not gay Jared. So when that happens and you see this person holding themselves up as this wonderful, wonderful person, and yet deep down they're a piece of crap, you want everyone to know, and you want scorched earth. And the more you go and you try to fight it, sometimes the worse it ends up for you because they've got power and they've got money. So at some point you have to do a cost benefit analysis to yourself and say, is this worth it? Is it worth me going through this? Is it worth me putting myself into this pain and anguish? Now, if Steven Crowder is sexually molesting girls and you're one of those girls and you want to speak out and he's, doing that against you, I get it. Okay. Lance Armstrong, prime example. He's cheating like crazy and the people are coming out to say things about him. And what does he do? He does lawsuits against them and he ends up punishing, bankrupting them and winning. Okay. That's what it was happening to begin with until it all ended up coming out where he couldn't fight it anymore. Now it's truth. And then you're like, oh my God, he ruined these people's lives. And I get why they were coming out here and they were saying, no, you're up there on the podium. You're winning 7 Tours de France and whatever else. And you're saying, I'm clean. You do a commercial with Nike that says, what am I on? You say I'm on drugs. What am I on? I'm on my bike 6 hours a day. Okay. Well, you're a piece of shit liar. And that's what it seems like Jared's doing. But is that really worth it to you? And is that necessary? Jared thinks it is, and we'll keep going.
I wasn't about to put my family embark upon a journey down that road. Number two, I was not about to allow the privacy of my personal life, the trust I have with my friends, and the real relationships I have with them to be violated in such an vindictive.
Okay, Shannon makes a great point here, and I'm going to get to some comments here. I'm sorry. Shannon says, was I the only one who couldn't sit through Jared's saga story? See, I appreciate Tyler's dedication to this eye-rolling ridiculousness, so I don't have to. I totally agree, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because it rambled. It was a 5-minute thing that should have been 5 minutes that ended up being 15, so we're not going to go there at all. Jay Ford said, I'm here to crap on Crowder and Tim Pool. Yeah, I'll do that. Don't worry. Jay Ford also says, my disdain for Crowder and coincidentally, the issue with Jared's NDA goes back way before the marriage problems, and anyone linking the two are retarded. Could be. How did the goober that works for Crowder say it? Knock it off. Okay. What else do we have here? I didn't even know. I didn't even bother watching Jared's video. I knew I would cringe too hard. Okay. Exactly. So, but I wanted to play you a little bit of this so you kind of get where it is. Now, what I wish because on Twitter here, I wish, he says he has the receipts of some bad things that Crowder did to other people. Okay. That's what he was saying. Now, he talks about here about having to be forced into signing an NDA. I don't know that I believe that. You signed it yourself. Maybe you shouldn't have. I get it. He claims at the time the only way he was going to be able to work elsewhere was if he did that, and then he signed it. He needed to be able to work. Yeah, so Crowder sounds like a piece of shit. But I don't know that you maybe, and this is, I don't think he said it here, but my thinking is he signed one on the way in, and so therefore he had to sign something on the way out to try to better that situation. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Okay, I think I saw Owen Benjamin saying he didn't sign anything going in, he didn't sign anything going out, and fuck you, Steven Crowder. Perfectly fine. I think the problem is Jared signed something going in, and then he didn't like it coming out, or he realized this guy's a really piece of shit, and I'm stuck. Okay, so there was that. Now, what comes out of this is, and I'm not going to play this whole one either, because we're going to get to the family law stuff. Okay, we'll go to, where is it? There we go. Here's what you don't know. Okay, this is Gerald. I'm just play a little bit of this. This is the CEO for Louder with Crowder.
Good morning. I've been scheduled to host the show today for about a week, and the topics that we were going to discuss were what you would expect in any Louder with Crowder show. Talking about some news, make some jokes, maybe poorly, but unfortunately, that's no longer the case today. Well before any video that was released, we were going to do this show this way. I'll get to why Steven's not here in just a minute, but it was planned from a week ago, not from yesterday. I just want to say off the top that none of this had to happen. None of it. Didn't have to be this way at all. We didn't choose this. It was chosen for us. In fact, as I'll tell you in just a few minutes, we went to great lengths to give people the ability to do the right thing, to honor their agreements, and to do what they said they were going to do. Unfortunately, they chose a different path. For the last year and a half, everything you've seen in the public eye has been part of a well-orchestrated plan. What is that plan? To assimilate damaging PR assets and wage a negative publicity campaign against Steven. I'll show you the quotes. I'll show you the text message.
Okay, this is like a fucking hostage video. This is horrible. And I watched the whole thing. I went through it, and it's frustrating because Gerald is a bored. He's an annoying neocon. And just as a side note, so I can't sit through this. So he brings up a few things. One, this is the CEO of the Louder with Crowder Inc. or whatever it is talking about this. I think it's highly inappropriate for him to be talking about the divorce. And this is, I'm going to throw in here. In there, they always have sources, okay? So with this, there's a bunch of tweets, and he has screenshots, but you can't look at it. And he keeps saying, you can look this up. Okay, you can look this up. So when you go to the website, it says sources for every video. Okay, fine. I want to look at the sources. I want to see what he presented. So let's take a look here. Okay, they don't include the sources for this show. Okay, well, there you go. Conspiracy extremist says, yeah, Crowder is a faggot. Yeah, he is. Okay, So there you go. So one, I don't think the business should be involved at all in the divorce as far as coming out. Gerald should not be making any kind of comments. His claim, and we're gonna play the entire Tim Pool video that I had from this morning, or that he did this morning or yesterday about this, which he presents some things, and a lot of it is completely wrong. Now, Gerald says one thing in here, which he's like, he talks about the divorce, and he says a few things such as, he presents $25,000 as being paid to Hillary, the wife. We don't exactly know what every aspect of that is, and I will get to it. He also then says, hey, they've been in mediation for 5 days. That just never happens. Those in family law know. And I'm like, well, that's bullshit. You can have sometimes you set mediation. We go to private judges, sometimes private mediation. We go through court ordered mediation, but we are mediating all the time on the outside as well. And by the way, that is so much better than actually going to court. So quit complaining about the fact that they're trying to get resolutions. And by the way, he shows a lot of screenshots. Some of it is in efforts to negotiate, which doesn't mean that's what you're going to get in court. And by the way, it's not even admissible. If you think about it, you get in some sort of traffic accident, and this is what and you make a claim at the time, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to offer the other side a negotiation to resolve it. You don't actually then get, because the court wants that, they want you to try to negotiate and get to a final, because what if you accept it, then it's good. But you don't then get to use those terms and those attempts to negotiate coming into court. You don't get to then use that against them, saying, but they used to do that, they did this, they tried to offer, no, that doesn't work, it's inadmissible. And Gerald is presenting those kind of, and you're going to see a lot of this kind of stuff too. Okay, so now let's play, let's see if I have any other, because I did a lot. Oh, okay, Shannon said, do you think Landau spoke out more for people like Jared, etc., not so much for himself? Dave could and did walk away, it wouldn't be dramatic. I believe that at the time, remember, he had started his own show on The Blaze with Quarter Black, who used to be the producer from Gerald. Then it was Jared, sorry. Then it was Quarter Black, and then he left, and it was amicable. And he posted something out like, I didn't know anything. He seems to, maybe he was treated fine. He was okay, whatever. Maybe they learned a few things from Not Gay Jared to the next one. However, Dave Landau at the time, remember, this was all about the contracts. So it goes back to my surmising here, that it goes back to seeing someone outraged about a social trend or something along the lines of that. And then you're like someone comes out and they're all Me Too, hashtag Me Too, but behind the scenes, they're Me Too and everyone they can. That's what I think Landau had a problem with. Steven Crowder is coming out, bitch fest, and he had some very good points. I was much on his side at some points with the Daily Wire contracts, but then once again, it's Israel and Palestine. It's two shitty situations of people that you may not give a shit about that are fighting over each other. And one of them may have more power than the other. And that could be a problem as well. But there's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of people. There's bad people on both sides. And I think Dave Landau saw Steven Crowder complaining about the contracts and then said, he doesn't get a complaint about these. And then, because Dave Landau specifically talked about what a horrible, horrible contract he had, and that how he was treated. And so I think that was the main point on there, Shannon. So dramatic, these men are stealing women's emotions culture. That's right. Okay, it's all just a conspiracy against Steven. This offends me as a conspiracy theorist. Could be. Okay, I think we're all caught up there for the most part. Okay, let's walk through actually this video. This is now you get a chance to shit on Tim Pool, okay? And then we're going to listen to this, and then we're going to walk through some of the family law rules and laws that the trads or the ANCAPs, maybe they don't want, but these are what's in place. So, and by the way, you've always got to understand, people will get upset about a judge making a ruling. Correct, perhaps it's a judge's fault, but many, many times those judges are following statutes that are written by the legislature. Okay, so the legislature comes in there, they write the family code. Those fuckers that you're voting for, they are the ones putting the rules in place that the judges then have to follow. In many cases, they don't have a chance. If they don't have discretion to go beyond what it is, then it's going to be overturned and not even an issue. So, they don't really have a lot of choice. I'm not making excuses, because I'll say this, family law is kind of a mix. There's courts of law, and courts of equity. Okay. Courts of law are pretty specific rules that you've got going on. There's laws of equity, or courts of equity, which are simply about what's fair. And family law is mostly a court of equity, but there's definitely a combo of the two. And what that mix is sometimes there's procedurals that you have under rules of civil procedure that you just got to follow, and it doesn't matter. Here's the way it is. And the other times a judge has to make an order of what they think is fair and equitable. So you're going to have sometimes you not understanding when you're going into court what part's law and what part's equitable, and how do I argue each one out to make sure I get the right outcome. Okay, let's go.
The debate rages on. Who is in the right? Who is in the wrong? Steven Crowder.
By the way, if you feel like Tim Pool's a little coked up today, no, I have him on 1.25. So let's go. Oh, wait, before we go out there, Shannon says, I know this is important, but what's your take on the FBI LP development? Shannon, I don't even know. I've been busy. I saw that there was a lawsuit or something. I will dig into that, but not right now because I don't know anything about it right now.
Versus Jared Monroe versus his wife. It is a nasty legal proceeding. And there's a lot of interesting information coming out, a lot of arguments being made. So while I covered this story earlier today.
Part of the Gerald thing is he's friends with Hillary, which is Steven Crowder's wife. And so there's some infiltration there. And that's what Gerald, the CEO, is making claims of. By the way, go watch both of those. I didn't take sides on either one. I just took a chance to crap on Steven Crowder.
Hey, now that many people have chimed in and given their opinions, I think it's worth addressing the opinions of many of these individuals and giving them their time. Because it's interesting. There is certainly a pro Hillary Crowder side, and even among conservatives and people who I would consider friends. We're arguing. And I think it's worth having this debate. In divorce court, one big question is, as Lauren Southern responded to me, should a man have to pay the legal fees of his wife who is suing him? It's an interesting question. We'll take a look at the opinions of some individuals who are putting out their thoughts, and we'll take a look at the evidence, but we'll break down a little bit of where we've gotten so far. After publishing this story about the lawsuit between Louderwith Crowder and former employee Jared Monroe, many people have chimed in. And Gerald Morgan of Louderwith Crowder has published an article, gone on Louderwith Crowder, and said, here's what you don't know, running this source. I'll go through a bit of what he posted, and I believe I have it here. And he does have this video. It's 32 minutes long. And we'll show you the argument made from Crowder. I'll then respond to some of these posts. And this is the argument here is about father's rights, child support, the current legal system, and who's at fault. We have many people who are defending Hillary Crowder, who are saying that Steven Crowder is abusive, he has a rage problem, and he has a very heavy-handed business practice of trying to restrict and go after other people. Jared Monroe clearly has motive to try and cause harm to Steven Crowder, as it appears, according to Jared's own statements, they are in a legal dispute for business reasons. I think that...
By the way, Magoo, thanks for joining us. He says Jared shouldn't be meddling in the divorce, but he wouldn't be if Crowder wasn't such an asshole to Jared when he resigned. Absolutely correct. I agree with you on every single thing you've said there. I also don't think Gerald, the CEO of Louderwith Crowder, should be joining in. I mean, if I was a CEO and these things are coming in here, I would say we have a lawsuit against Jared, but I'm not going to go into disclosing, even though it's public, I wouldn't go into disclosing any of that. And one, it makes you look like a piece of shit yourself. Okay, so fine. And I know it's your buddy, but you're a CEO of a company. Is it not? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. I've dealt with litigious former bosses. I'm biased. Yes, you are. Okay, let's keep going here.
That alone makes it inappropriate for Jared to contact Steven Crowder's ex-wife and work with her in any capacity in a divorce. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it outright. Disagree with me?
I'm going back there.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it outright.
Go back a little bit.
Inappropriate for Jared to contact Steven Crowder's ex-wife and work with her in any capacity in a divorce.
Okay, sorry. Maybe not. So he's someone that had worked for the company. Here's the problem you have. She's at some point needs income, assets, some sort of breakdown of what the company, and maybe Steven isn't coming forth with things, or maybe he's been hiding money. She can definitely reach out. Why can't you reach out to Jared about this? Jared used to work for him. Jared hates him, obviously, doesn't like him. I don't think that's a problem for her to do so, just like Steven could reach out to all of us as he's been doing. It's not, I don't think Jared should be getting involved, but I don't know that the wife reaching out to Jared is necessarily a problem. I mean, maybe it's a deposition or, and this, anyway, we'll keep going here, but I just don't, I'm not, take it out of the concept. I mean, you can't. They're all friends and they're business people. So it's just what it is. You've muddied the water. Now you're going to have to swim in that muck.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it outright. Disagree with me if you'd like. Comment below. But if Steven Crowder's in a legal dispute with Jared over business issues with Jared says that's his video. He had issues pertaining to ownership of equipment that was his, and Crowder's trying to take. That's his view. I don't have the receipts. I don't know who's doing what, but this is the argument. He's in a legal dispute with Crowder and then makes contact with Crowder's ex-wife. That is teaming up in...
Well, first of all, how do you know that she didn't reach out to him? So...
two separate legal situations. And then you have the statement from Jared saying he doesn't want Crowder to see his kids. Now it looks...
Okay. Tim Pool. First of all, Tim, when he says and I think he plays not the clip, but reads it in there. What Jared actually says, and I read it in like he thinks he's creepy. Okay. I don't think he should be around his kids. That's scary, or that's something along the lines of that. If you've witnessed someone being abusive and you think that could be the case. Now, once again, I don't think that that's his place, but I'm sorry, they're going to use character witnesses, which we'll get into a little bit because I'm not a big fan of that, and I don't think that actually works much. But if they're going to, they would pull Jared in as someone who formerly worked with him, and they're going to have him testify about that. So, sorry, Tim.
It's like a personal vendetta for business reasons, and
you
he
got to
is
take that into
using
account.
a divorce proceeding to take it out on Crowder. That's just how it appears. Tell me I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I'm just saying. Why would he get involved in this? So, of course, Gerald mentions that Hillary's father says he's trying to destabilize Steven Crowder. Hillary and Jared met in Atlanta to discuss their strategy and took this picture. You can see a text message saying, I have tickets to the aquarium. We'll pick you up. Sweet. It's thanks. There's, I don't know what that is. Is that a cake or something? Something that says how he changed my mind. And they have this photo together.
Okay. That's obviously a play on Steven Crowder's Changed My Mind.
Jared's text, any scenario where Hillary and I team up is the end of him, Steven. And it's his worst nightmare. Watch the real fear enter his eye when Tim asks the question. I don't know who Tim...
Okay, well, let's look at what it says above that. To further defendant's personal desire to keep Crowder away from his own children, defendant Hillary craft and further the extortion scheme by providing false and disparaging stories and closely held beliefs about Crowder with Louder with Crowder. Could be.
Tim is. I don't know what it's referring to. Jared, I don't know. Jared to Hillary. I think this is a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids.
Okay, so attest to all of that. Let's assume it's because once again, Gerald says it's all out there, and then he doesn't post the links to it, but he does screenshots. What's attest to all of that? What maybe it's that he was really abusive. Maybe that he beat the shit out of Hillary. I don't know. If I'm surmising, right? I'm just saying that if that's the case. And maybe Jared saw that, or he saw the bruises, or saw him mistreat the kids. Maybe wouldn't you think that kind of testimony would go somewhere? I would bring that person in. They have personal witness. They're personal witness to some sort of scenario that took place that you're going to say. Therefore, and by the way, in most states. For domestic violence, if you get findings of domestic violence against from one party to another, there's a presumption that you should not have custody, and then you've got to overcome that presumption by doing multiple count of things. Maybe you never had the kids involved, that's good, but that presumption is there, and which means he shouldn't. So if he's going to testify, I'm guessing, but it's not so much as he made me sign an NDA. And by the way, I'm not taking Jared's point of view. I'm just saying you've got to look at. We don't know. So, okay, that's all I'm saying. There's a lot going on here.
That really, really disturbs me. Why is Jared getting involved in the divorce proceedings?
It's not hard to surmise. I keep using that word. I don't know why. Tim, what if he saw abuse? Wouldn't you say it would be his place for her to have him come be a witness or testify?
Gerald says the whole scheme was to maximize profits that she couldn't get to the courts. Here's some statements from Hillary Crowder. The financial offer was serious, and the business valuator, and both of my attorneys agreed that the financial offer was good. $5 million. Wow, $5 million. But when it came to the children, his offer was, I get all of June, some of July, 2 weeks in August, and a week in the fall up north.
Okay, let's break this down because I think this is important here. What it looks like to me from her thing is they did a business evaluation, okay? And with that business evaluation, there's what's called community property and separate property, and they probably determined that the buyout for Hillary was going to be $5 million. That was the community. It was probably 10 million, and half of that being 5 million. So her portion of the community property was 5 million for the business. What Steven, it sounds like it did here then, he goes, let's just play this and then I'll get to it.
And while that's better than what I would get in court, I want more freedom than that. Wow.
Okay. So, and then he goes on here. What it looks like to me is that, once again, the business portion, I'm guessing here because I'm reading words that I understand, the business evaluated, the business valuator, okay, $5 million, that would have been her portion, but Stephen's throwing in the kids. Okay. The court has jurisdiction. Once you sign it and you have this lawsuit, which it is, and it's done and over, you don't get to come back and relitigate things. You don't get to come back in 2 years and go, you know what, I'd like 7 million, or I'd like, 10 million. You don't get to come back and do that. It's like you having a lawsuit against your neighbor for a fence. Once it's done and over, it's a judgment. And it's basically with prejudice, which means you can't come back and file over those same issues again. The court has no jurisdiction at this point to take these issues up again. But they do have jurisdiction over your children until they're 18 and out of high school, child support, spousal support until it's terminated. It looks like to me, Stephen was bundling all this, okay, which is perfectly fine to do in the negotiation. Here's $5 million. Maybe I'll even give you a better one. But what I want out of that is I want the kids more, or I want something else. And she's not willing to do that. Just because he's mixing those two and he's trying to get a better deal doesn't mean that she's rejecting a better offer. To her, the kids are maybe different and more important. So those two can be separated out, and him trying to use those together, perfectly fine. But her rejecting both of them as a combo package deal is also perfectly fine. Now, what would the court do? The court would bifurcate these in a sense, which are like business, boom, 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 kids, boom, boom, boom. And they don't care about one or the other than how they would relate maybe with support. Okay, let's keep going.
That's more than I would get in court. Crowder, this is crazy that people are like, if you look at these texts, I get it. This is Crowder's side. It certainly does look based on this that Crowder has been reasonable, giving her more than she would get in court, but she wants more. So there's an email saying, let's destabilize him. Gerald says.
Yeah, okay, that's a problem.
Per Hillary's father, the longer the divorce proceedings go on, the worse it is for Stephen Crowder.
Yes.
Remember the ring footage? Hillary deleted all other footage from that house and the Lake residence, which was expressly barred by the court, with a quote saying, Mrs. Crowder then intentionally deleted all their other footage that depicted the marital home, as well as all footage from their vacation Lake residence, while under express orders from the court barring such actions. Again, in certain context, legally, you can say things that aren't true. And just because it's in a court document doesn't mean it's true. But there's certainly certain limits. You can't lie and say she deleted footage if she did not delete footage.
People do it all the time. Just throwing it out there. You can say, by the way, you could have maybe Stephen deleted it. Okay, maybe Stephen deleted it, and then you say she deleted the footage. Now what are you going to do? Who's going to prove that one way or another? I don't know. Maybe they could, maybe they can't.
Granted, that would just mean you are lying to the court. You can physically do it. So I don't know. I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying the likelihood is low that this is a falsehood. I got to tell you, man, I've been in legal proceedings, and it is surprising. There's no legal system in this country. I got to be honest. I've been in so many legal situations. I am just surprised where the judges are basically their whole.
These are amazing.
Oh, then we got a commercial. So let's keep going here. We'll mute it and get through the commercial. Almost. Boom. Okay. Let's get back to it. He's going to get some good stuff here, people. Just hang on.
Stop fighting and shut up and go home. We don't care who's right. We don't care about justice. We care about you both shutting up. If one side is screaming like a baby and the other side is trying to be reasonable, the judge sides with the baby.
I was in court yesterday. My client and the baby mama, wow, were they problematic? Okay, mostly she was really off her rocker. And that's literally what the judge is doing at the time. It's like she's lying. Okay, I don't know that he's telling the truth, but this is just crazy. And at some point, the judge I've had one actually. I had a judge tell the parents that their daughter that had passed away, she was the only lucky one in this lawsuit because she didn't have to sit through this anymore. Wow. Okay, that was a bit rough, but that's exactly what you get with family court at times. So I get it, Tim. Keep going.
Way too many legal cases my whole life to have seen anything otherwise.
Well, you shouldn't be doing that.
This one's where it gets interesting. He says, you may have seen these public claims about hardships. Fact, Hillary is paid $25K a month by Stephen. Now, this is interesting because in this photo, the judge of the divorce proceedings ordered that LWC has to pay me $25,000 per month pursuant to a temporary order during the duration of the divorce. Stephen tried to reduce that amount, but was unsuccessful. I can barely pay my divorce attorneys, let alone the attorneys in this litigation with that amount.
I'm going to stop here because what I can't tell is what that 25, the judge in the proceeding. Okay. It doesn't say what this is for. This is one of her filings. I guess she's talking about it, asking for more money. But they've gone through divorce. they're going through. Okay, so is this $25,000 a month part of the payout for the business? Is it part of child support? Is it part of spousal support? Is it attorney's fees? Those are 3 different aspects, actually 4 with the business. So I don't know what this 25. So it's hard for me to, when Gerald just says she's getting $25,000 a month. Okay, but do you think Bill Gates, or do you think Elon Musk, as an example, if he's paying child support, do you think his baby mama is getting more than $25,000 a month? I mean, that's like a little $4,500 or $5,500 a week. Okay, that's not a ton. Okay, when you're making billions. I'm not saying Steven is, but let's put it into context. I don't know what this is for, and we will talk about each one of those. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting this.
To which I responded.
Okay, here you go.
I said, Crowder has to pay $25,000 in child support that his ex-wife uses to pay lawyers to go after him. He has to fund his own destruction. How effed is divorce court? Right. So Crowder is ordered by the court to give $25K a month to his estranged wife as they go through these proceedings, and she's spending that money going to court against him. That money is supposed to be for the kids. Lauren Southern chimes in. And Lauren, of course, is a friend. She says, yes, he's launched extraordinary litigious lawsuits against her and family that she cannot afford because she quit her job to be a stay-at-home mom. He also then went for full custody of the kids. I got to pause right there, Lauren. It looks like, according to the documents they posted, he was going for, he was actually giving up more than she would have gotten in court otherwise.
But so we talked about this when it first came out, when there's a ring camera and all this. I think he was going for full custody, and I think she was going for full custody. Or perhaps on the initial filing the petition, they had said that. That doesn't mean what they're actually going for. But I think that was the case to begin with. So now, is that what they're actually, once you get in mediation and everyone's like, hey, dude, that's not what you're going to get. There's no way. Okay, now we're in reality.
Perhaps it would have been full custody, but I don't know what her response to that was. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying highlighting that. Thankfully, she was awarded some funds to prevent herself from becoming homeless and having her children taken. If you understood how much she's spending on lawyers, you'd know she's spending every cent of that defending herself. Should stay-at-home wives be able to have their children taken from them and left homeless if their husband is extremely wealthy? Well, the answer that's a loaded question. I'll answer it. I'll finish it. No. Or should they be given a sliver of the money their husband is spending on lawyers to defend themselves? The answer to that question is no. I would say the first question is framed, I would argue, outside of the merits of logic and morality as it pertains to market law, or to the market and law. Sorry. Should stay-at-home wives be able to have their children taken from them and left homeless if their husband is wealthy? Okay, well, that's a very, very broad question. The answer is wives should not have their children taken away from them and be left homeless just because their husband is wealthy. That is to say, if a wealthy man has millions of dollars and divorces his wife, and then all of a sudden they go, well, your husband's wealthy, you no longer have a home. Well, no, obviously that shouldn't happen, but that's not what is happening, right? What's happening is that Steven Crowder has money and she doesn't have money. There is no argument, period, where someone with no money should get free money from the person suing them to use to sue them back in any circumstances.
And I'll get to this when he goes on to it further, because that beanie is on super tight and he's not using his logic and reason that he said he was going to. I also think that, yes, she's not going to be homeless, but you can imagine that, and I see this often, parties, the wife or usually wife, feels in fear, whatever, instantly has to leave the house. I just had this with a party. She leaves the house. He controls all the money. She is begging her parents for some money. There's 4 kids involved. Dad's a dick. She doesn't have access to any of it. He makes like 20 grand a month. Okay. He's doing perfectly fine. We have to go and file emergency orders to get support. So he actually forced to start paying her. She's not, where's she living? I mean, it's really problematic. And if she didn't have the grace and friends for her to move in with and stuff, then you're looking at someone, being homeless. You think the courts are going to be okay with the kids staying with mom if she doesn't have a house? Now, this is an extreme situation, but it's exactly kind of the situation we're talking about here too, Tim. So let's not be ridiculous, because we've got to think of all scenarios when they place the laws in place and what's fair and equitable. And I know that equity is not a thing that libertarians like to say, but in this case, we're talking about a family and community, and it's a little bit different. But let's keep going.
Let's try this. You work for a company, and the company it fires you. You say, I accuse company of wrongdoing. And the court goes, okay, company, you now have to pay him the money he needs to sue you. What? That's insane.
Okay. What's insane is thinking that your family is, okay, what he's saying here is, okay, Steven Crowder is the company, okay? And his wife works for the company. He fired her, but when they got divorced. When they got divorced, he fired her. Now what? Is she going to go out and get unemployment? What is she going to do to take care of herself? You're fucking idiot. It's not a business. And if it is a business, it's Louder with Crowder as the business. And these are both parties to that. When the business was started during the marriage, okay? Whether she's working at home or not, there's input and value. I don't care if it's the wife that goes out and she starts a business. I have a business. My wife doesn't have anything to do. Well, she actually starts working with me in the business, but let's say she wasn't doing anything there. Her ability to help with the kids, take care of the family, and do other things allows me to be a better business partner. And the court understands that. And it only makes sense. If that's the case, she wasn't working. You are not a business where you're a simple employee. She was a business owner in a sense in this community. This is a family, this is a community. Data marriage to data separation, everything you acquire is considered community property. And it is so, I believe, in Texas as well. So, Tim, you've got a problem here, which is an equal ownership of this business. They had different jobs in this business. This business would then be forced to pay the attorney's fees for both of them. It's not you or me working for you, Tim, and you fired me and now you have to pay me. Yes, that is ludicrous, but that's not what we're talking about here. This is a community. This is a family, and you treat it differently because the dynamics are different. Yes, you have community contractual agreements and a relationship with the partners in there, but you also have a spouse. And with that spouse comes fiduciary duties that you have to uphold to, all kinds of different aspects. And once again, that business was the growth and the strength. He wasn't at home taking care of the kids. The wife was. She wasn't working. It really has to do with that. Okay. And let me keep going on here with Tim, and he can keep breaking down his ridiculous analysis. Come on, I'm only fucking 9 minutes. We got 10 more minutes.
What if Crowder was poor? It's a ridiculous argument that
if he was poor, he wouldn't be paying for it. And by the way, I looked up the Texas statute. It's about need. So if one party, and you typically do this, you put them in a calculator of their two different incomes, okay? And if they have separate property assets, perhaps, maybe community assets, maybe funds that they can get to, property that would be liquid. It's liquid assets most likely you're looking at here. Then at what point are you going to be awarding attorney's fees? Obviously the court felt that he had enough to do, I don't know what this 25 is. Let's say it's attorney's fees he's paying. He had enough to be able to give her a bunch of money to pay her attorney's fees. That's the way it is. It's not that way in civil court, criminal court, anywhere else where you're going to get it unless it's not the case, Tim. It's only in community property.
Because Crowder has money, he is subject to having that money taken away from him.
Yes.
Well, if he was poor,
because that was also her money,
he would just lose his kids. So that argument doesn't make...
It doesn't, because if he was poor, he would be getting the money from her if she had more money than him. That's what it is. And I'll say this. Let me break this down a little bit, because maybe we're just done with Tim Pool for a second here. What you have is a three-pronged aspect of support. You have attorney's fees, you have spousal support, and you have child support, okay? What you often get, at least here in the state of California, it's need-based. So they have to do an analysis if you have a need for the attorney's fees, and the other party has the ability to pay them. Okay, that has to be part of that calculation. Part of that also is looking at their actual income and how much that is going to be. If you're making $10,000 a month and she's making $7,000, you're probably not going to be paying any fees. If you're making 10 and she's making 2, or the opposite of genders there, then you're going to be paying some. But what is that amount? And you're usually going to be able to, unless you have a bunch of money, they're going to say you can do that in payments. And I get payments from opposing parties all the time in $100 a month to make, a few $1,000s of attorney's fees. That happens. Okay. That is based on need, ability to pay, and what kind of assets you have there. Now, what also is a factor is there a need, and is there a need to, because it has to be with the discrepancy of income of the parties. If you don't have a discrepancy, and what I mean by that is once that party is paying support to the other one, there's no longer a discrepancy. We go in there, I've had this many times, opposing counsels, they file a motion for attorney's fees, spousal support, child support. We go in there, we figure out the spousal support, the parties are now equal. And then the opposing counsel is like, and now we want attorney's fees. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And by the way, it's retro back to the date of filing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, the parties are equal now. You want attorney's fees? And almost invariably, if they're asking, let's say $5,000, it gets cut down to $1,000. They're getting something, but it's much, much less. So one of the aspects and things I tell parties, and that probably Mr. Trad here, Crowder, isn't doing, which is when you're separating, you start taking care of this person. One, it forwards goodwill to the court. And two, as soon as they file, that whatever you've been doing, and maybe paying the house bills, maybe you're paying the mortgage, that could be seen as support or in lieu of support. But if you are paying that, now you don't have retroactive fees to go back. And the best part is you're not paying attorney's fees because the two of you have been equal since separation. These are problems that these people have had and that they didn't take care of. Now, child support. Once again, that goes, at least in California, it's based on your income and time with the kids. He doesn't have much time with the kids. That's why he wanted full custody, so he wouldn't be paying her more, but he's always going to be paying her more if it makes more money. So you got that problem as well. So attorney's fees, spousal support, child support. And now the question is, do you think any of that is legit? Okay, once again, trad guy gets the wife, doesn't want her to work, won't let her work. Maybe she's brilliant. Maybe she's great at the home. But once you are divorced, maybe you didn't pick the right one and she left you. Or maybe you picked the right one, but you were a complete piece of shit and abusive. And now she wants out. Okay, that's what happened. Now they're leaving. You can't force them into that's what, slavery? So we're going to be on the slavery train now? No. So now they're leaving. What are you going to do about this? Is she going to be working for some other dude? Because that's now her job, is just being a mom. That's what you thought her job was. Perfectly fine. My mom was stay-at-home mom. Then she did work on the side, and then she ended up working for a college and did that for years and still does some stuff once the kids were more grown up. And that was wonderful. What also, my dad didn't choose wrong, and my mom loved my dad. So, you know, they stayed together. So you got that aspect as well. Another problem you have here is states that don't have presumed 50% custody, okay? And we can talk about that. I've gone over that before. I'm going to stop this here. Sorry, Tim Pool. I just think your arguments are not with any. So here's a breakdown of states that have a presumed 50-50 presumption, okay? And what I mean by that is, as soon as you get, and this is a problem that you conservatives end up having, which is you're getting all upset, but your states, your red states, don't have a presumption that when you're getting separated that you get 50% custody, okay? I mean, let's look here. Failed in Alabama. It's pending now. Alaska, failed. Arizona, they got one in. Failed in, first it's failed in 2012. Now it's failed in 2000. I'm not sure I'm totally reading this right. Failed in Arkansas. Failed. I mean, all these states failed. Passed. Finally passes over there in Florida. Georgia died. It's failed in Hawaii. Illinois failed. Pending in a few of these other states. Iowa. I mean, these are all the bad ones, I guess, because I don't see California here. We're definitely a presumed 50% state. It's in our state constitution, as a matter of fact. So a lot of states where it's just not the possibility of being finally passed there in Oregon. Good job in 2019. So what's that mean? It means that when you come into your divorce and you're a dad, you're not likely to get 50% custody. And also, this goes to what we've talked about a few times, which is your Title 4D of the Social Security Act, which is money for Department of Child Support Services going out to each state. They get 60 cents on the dollar for attempts to for support. Okay, and what that really means is they're a third party. They either you're on welfare. Okay, you're getting money from the state, from the county. The county wants their money back. They then go through Department of Child Support Services to collect on that, and then mom doesn't get as much, but she gets a bit, and then the county gets some more of that. Or you use them as a third party when you have child support, and the point is they get money for this. The state gets a bunch of money, and it's better for them if they don't have a 50-50, because if you have 50-50, you're not looking, a lot of parties, then you're not looking for support. So it's just like a bad faith situation that you have all the way around. I've been rambling here for a while. Let's see if anybody has, we'll start from the bottom and go up, see if we have anything. Tyler, what was the importance when Gerald said they were in day 5 of mediation, then said, Google how long mediation normally takes. What that means, Magoo, is that Gerald is an idiot. Okay, mediation, depending on how big, if you have a business that's worth $5 million, you have twins, you have all this litigation that's going on, 5 days for mediation can happen, okay? Now, is it happening when I have a couple that's been married for a year and a half, no kids, and they don't have any credit card debt. I literally have one of these. It's like they're like, I'm married a year and a half. We don't really have anything joint. No, you're done and over. It doesn't matter. It's a complicated case that takes a lot of time. And then if you have, and by the way, the 5-day mediation isn't because one party wants, Hillary is the only one forcing this. Stop it anytime you want. But that means you're going to go to trial. So you mediate 5 days. I don't know. I mean, I've had, court go 10 days of trial before. I've had trial go half a day, a few minutes. I've had mediations go 10 minutes. I've had a few days of mediation, multiple days of mediation. So, I think once again, it's just Gerald, a bunch of people, just like myself. We don't know. I don't know all the things, but I get frustrated with the chimers in, like the Tim Pool. Should we play more Tim Pool? You guys let me know if I actually think I should do that. Gerald is a dumb nerd. Tyler confirms. Lawyered. I'm trying to remember who was on his staff. They were arguing about the war. I think it was the war in Ukraine or one of these. And Gerald is just so neocon. It was embarrassing. Tyler, can we pester Tyler to answer it? What am I supposed to answer? I'm sorry. Should I go back up here for the 5 days? Staying in divorce pocket adheres to Crowder's narrative. Jared's gripe is with 6 years of lawfare against him. Everyone supporting Crowder isn't just in the past 6 years. Correct. So I don't know. I guess, and if you watch it more, I guess the Louder with Crowder brand had a lawsuit now against Gerald. So Jared. So I think he may have fucked himself over by doing that video. According to Gerald, their statute are usually 30 days to have some sort of discovery or whatever. He said it had closed. They aren't asking for more. So Jared hadn't responded. And then usually it's like this. The Discovery Act in California. You propound discovery and they either answer or they don't. And then you have so many days to file a motion to compel. Okay, you either get further responses or a motion to compel if they didn't respond at all. And if that time frame is gone, you're done and over. Once again, this is this court of law type of situation where you don't get to say, well, because of this. No, you're done and over. And I think that's what happened in that case. Jared didn't respond. They're like, okay, we're going to let it pass, at least according to Gerald. It's hard to understand who to believe in any of this. Hillary, I don't necessarily believe her. One, she's named after Clinton. Steven Crowder, I don't believe him because he's been shown to be kind of a sourpuss in the first place. Not gay Jared, I don't know. You signed an NDA for this loser and you're kind of on board. And I don't know, maybe just move on. There's that part. Now, according to him, he's not being let go. Crowder is all over him. And then you got Tim Pool chiming in with facts that he doesn't understand and really seemingly incorrect information about how it works. It being, once again, a community, okay? Community. And then once again, community property is anything in California, at least in most community property states, it's data marriage through the data separation, anything you've acquired, assets, debts, let's say gambling, it has to be in furtherance of the community as an example for a debt. If you have gambling debt as an example, it typically doesn't go against the other party because especially if they don't know about it, because it's not in furtherance of benefiting the community. You have fiduciary duties, once again, to uphold between you and your spouse. So you think like a business. Now, if you get something during marriage, such as inheritance, gift, those are separate property, but you've got to keep them separate. So oftentimes, or you see this situation, someone has a business, okay, before they get married. They don't get a prenuptial agreement, okay? Well, maybe that's a problem. Or they have a house that they bought prior to marriage. Then they put the other party on title during the marriage. Now you've done what is called change of characterization of the property asset itself from individual to joint, and you've changed it from a separate property aspect to a joint or community property, and you're fucking yourself over. You know, I can't tell you how many times they get this, party comes in and they're like, oh man, she hasn't worked for the last 40 years. We've been married. Now she should get a job. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's not the agreement you should have made for 40 years. Wow. Okay. Yeah, guys, hit the like button. Tim is reliving his lawsuit with his brother. Oh yeah, that's right. Got that one. Crowder is gay and got scared once he became a dad. Jared knows that Crowder doesn't want it out, hence Jared's NDA. And look, I don't know Steven Crowder. I will say, Okay, I'm all right. I just got done explaining March Madness to my Korean mother-in-law that just wandered into my office. Where are we and what the fuck does Lauren Severn have to do with this? Can she go away now? J Fort, solid stuff. Tyler wears the biker shorts in the family. I sure do. And I've been doing that since I was like 15 years old. Never met the lady. Is she real or is this whole thing Tyler has going a facade? I don't know. It's the real deal. Yeah, I've got a wife. She's amazing. Let's see. Anything else here? I'm sorry. I was just going on. Review, move on. He was forced into a 2-year and a non-compete with his first kid. I don't know what's going on. Oh, Crowder is gay is a real story. Okay. I did have some other things I wanted to look at here. Let's take a look. Once again, I don't know enough. If you guys find all the pleadings to the Louder Crowder or the divorce, send it my way. I will be glad to take a look at it. We have some stuff over here on Rumble, and it's not coming through. Conspiracy Extremist says, I specifically came here to avoid watching Tim Pool. That name of Hillary's book, How He Changed My Mind. As a professional, can you please call my co-host ass butt a retard for thinking Crowder is in the right over Jared? I don't know. I don't know who's in the right over Jared. Okay. I'll say this. I don't think Steven Crowder has ever fully given full disclosure of everything. So once again, the problem I have, you look at, as an example, Louder's Crowder, and Gerald gets up there and he's like, Gerald, not Jared, his CEO of Louder's Crowder, he gets up there and he says, all these things are available. I'm sorry, maybe I don't have access to the Texas, I don't know what courthouse it is, what county. You could tell us, you could link it. You have sources for every show you do, but you don't have sources for that one. You show us screenshots, which is a little disingenuous. So I don't know. Yeah, and the Ring camera could have been out of context. We're all there, so who knows? But was he right? I don't know if he was right. I will say this. This is where you get into it, and this goes to Raven for his comment about me being Crump derangement syndrome. When you say something dumb like that, and you didn't see my text or my tweet that had nothing to do with that, I'm just saying I'm going to look into this more. Then I start to wonder what your comprehension is on everything else. When Steven Crowder comes out against Daily Wire about their contracts, and then you kind of see later on that, well, they are shitty, but yet you're not telling the truth either. Then you start to wonder about what else he's talking about. And then you see kind of his takes on a few other things, maybe Israel, Ukraine, some of these other, and you go, okay, you're just a hack. At what point do you and this is what's important, is that everybody kind of take a look at it themselves and start to dig in to understand. So what I'm saying here is, I don't know who's in the right. I don't know that either one of these are in the right. Being family law, almost always everyone has a problem. You don't always, people say this all the time. Hey, do you win most of your cases? Well, what I have to say, what does a win mean in family law? It's not like I'm being accused of murder and I get off, I wasn't, found guilty. That's not what we do. It's like some support's going to be ordered. Okay. If you have the guy that makes the more money. Now a win might be that I tell them what the outcome's going to be, and that's what happens, or it's a little bit better. That's a win. Okay. Sometimes you get better solutions than you thought, but I really try to tell people what's going to happen based on the likelihood of case law and my experience and the statutes. So once again, I don't know enough to look at here to see that maybe anybody's in the right. I think when they're using their kids as pawns, that's a bad situation. Okay. And if either one are using him, like Steven was like, I'm going to give you more money, but then I want more time with the kids. Well, I don't know. That doesn't sound great. But then if she's like not doing that and she's trying to ruin your business, Hillary, the more money he makes, the more you're going to get in support. That's just the way it is. Okay. And by the way, we could look at family code for support. I did look at this because I thought it was somewhat interesting. And once again, if you don't like this, then pick it up with your Texas legislature. Okay. Factors into determining support. You need to go into that. It's age, your ability to pay, presumptions about maintenance. Let's go duration of maintenance, because I thought this was actually, which was how long you're going to have to be paying support. May not order maintenance that remains in effect for more than 5 years after the date of the order if the spouses were married to each other for less than 10 years and the eligibility of the spouse of whom maintenance is ordered is established under. Okay, so what that's saying is like, look, you've got a short-term marriage. It's under 10 years. At least that's what we call it in California. We only have 10 or an under or 10 and above. 10 and under, it's basically half the length of the marriage you're going to be paying for support. And that's what this is saying. You can pay more than half the length of the marriage. You're married 8 years. They just can't order more than 5. 10 years, half of it, 5 years, sounds solid. So they're kind of putting a cap. They're saying you can go exceed. Maybe you're married 2 years. You're going to pay for support for 5 years. That's crazy. But it's only for 5 years and then you're done and over. 7 years after the date of the order, if the spouses were married to each other for at least 20 years. Wait, the spouses were married to each other for at least 10 years, but not more than 20. And then 7 years of support if they're married for at least 20 years, but not more than 30 years, or 10 years after the date of the order, the spouse is married for 30 years. So they cut it down. It's even less than half the length of the marriage. So 10 years for 30, which in California would be 15. Matter of fact, if it's over 10, they're not putting a cap on the duration. So Texas has it better, and Steven Crowder is not going to be paying. I don't know how long he's married to her, but he's getting a better deal on spousal support in Texas than he would be getting here in California, at least as far as duration goes, although I don't know how long his marriage is. Let's say it's 5 years, then he's going to be doing it. Should we play gay or... Now, Steven, Mr. Fox, we'll do an ad here in a second, but that's a wonderful segue because, or not segue, but comment, insider, because Crowder, to his benefit, if you watch some of his old shows with just he and Not Gay Jared, or listen to them, I used to listen to them a bunch. They do these little ads and games, and one of the games they used to play was hipster or hobo, and they would show a picture. It's either a homeless guy or a hipster, and you had to pick out which one it is, and it's tough. Okay, it's a tough one. So gay or Canadian, solid work there. Okay. Any guys, look, I appreciate people coming in to check this out and to understand. Maybe I should go through my Twitter a little bit here just to kind of see what we're getting here as far as some comments, because I wanted to make sure I couldn't get through everybody's, right? Maybe we'll do this. Let's go to my Twitter here, and some people that had made some comments. I think I'll try to kind of look at these. The biggest problem in the American legal, this is JJ, in the American legal system is the theater over character and the subjective nature of the judgments with it. Perverts the behavior of the whole society. It's a gotcha life 24/7. Okay. This is interesting because I was talking to Andy today, and of course we're yelling at each other about agreeing with stuff, but he was talking about these people being character witnesses. I know to Andy that's big, something he brings out a lot, and a lot of clients really feel that character witnesses are going to win the day. There's a accusation of abuse, right? Oh, you beat your child, and what they'll do is they'll get someone from their work who's never met them, maybe seen their kids once or so, write a character letter about how they're wonderful. What do you think the judge, how much emphasis they put on the fact that a coworker says you weren't hostile and violent at work? Okay, so that was great. It means nothing. The only time character witnesses work this way, you have and one of the best ones I've had are you have opposing family members who you don't really have a rift with testifying on behalf of against their relative. So I once had a father-in-law testify for his son-in-law against his daughter because she had some mental problems. Okay. And he loved her. He was concerned about her. There was she thought there was some sort of rift, but you couldn't produce anything like that. He was a very nice man. And that was very, very instrumental in a character witness because it shows concern and you're crossing the aisles of family in a sense. Those are important. Other ones aren't necessarily so much. And so character, does it really matter as far as that goes? There is a lot of theater that goes involved in family law and in all courts, actually. Okay, let's see if we have another one here. This was an interesting, weird tweet that I saw. Ashley St. Clair, who was coming out on the Gerald side, she said, a lot of conservative men just really hate women, to be honest. Okay. Once again, this is similar to Tim Pool. It's similar to, I don't know, do we say Raven on that respect? What I would say, a declarative statement, at least give me some evidence as to why you're saying this. No, we need evidence witnesses. Absolutely, Jordan. Also, character witnesses are worthless. Back to that one, and I appreciate you saying that. I believe so. As an attorney, a family law attorney that does this all the time, that is absolutely correct. For the most part, they don't do jack shit. That person is sided with you, especially in family law where they are friends, okay, or family coming in to support them. They may, sometimes those people are the worst of trying to get you across the finish line for something because they're going to be saying whatever. Absolutely right. And, oftentimes people will draft declarations and will submit stuff to the court and they say, oh, they said this and this about me. I'm like, do you have a screenshot of a text, Facebook post, anything like that? That is definitive. They could deny it. And now I could use this as impeachment saying, you said this and now you're saying the opposite. Here's what and then you can say, well, I didn't mean that or whatever, but that's out there. So that's evidence that you definitely strong and it's good. So by the way, if you're going through these kind of issues, one, if you're communicating with your ex or your baby mama or whomever it is, do it in a professional manner. Always expect that litigation is going to come out with these texts and these tweets. Sydney Watson says, why don't the women vote the way we want? And kind of being, quotes, repeal the 19th, stay-at-home moms get no resources. You're emotional and inferior. Yeah, can't imagine why. And then Ashley responds back, I honestly would rather get punched on the subway by a crackhead than be stuck with any of these men for 24 hours. Well, that's kind of a lame thing because, look, it's Twitter, okay? So a lot of times we say these kind of things. And if these women weren't so emotional in this tweet, I would laugh. But they are. That's part of the problem you got there. Okay, anything else? Let's see. Nope. I think that's right. Oh, you know what? I wanted to take one more thing. Let's go to this. Where are we at here? There we go. Exclusive. Did you see the interview with Dave Landau? Which interview, Stephen? I played the one with he and Malice quite a long time ago, and then I did a clip, and I started the show with it, but you were late. So you missed that one. I just had to sing Donkey Kong rap to a 4-year-old while he went potty before bed. What did I miss? Nothing. The you just hate women argument is not a good one. I agree. And, look, I will say this. I adore my wife. We have a great relationship. We run a family together. There's things I do. There's things she does. We have our own roles. There's nothing better. And I always say this about my wife unabashedly, which is the more of a man that I am, which is a loving husband, but yet I get shit done and I take control, the more she loves it. She gets on me when I sometimes slip back or I get a little lazy. So there's a wonderful aspect that at least my wife personally keeps me what I would say is a good man. So that's important. Okay. And yeah, I will go online and I will block women like these because they are nonsensical. I don't need them in my life. Okay. And what I mean by that is I need my wife in my life. I don't need them in my life. I mock, I make jokes. Twitter isn't real. And these women, I don't know that they have real jobs. Sydney didn't have a real job. She was, entertainment stuff. Once again, Crowder, Gerald, none of them have what I would call real jobs. I mean, they make a vast amount of money doing stupid shit like what I'm doing here for free. I pay to do what's going on right now. And you people are like, why would you do that? We don't pay for it. And I'm like, well, good point. Because I love to get out here and banter. So the women are a little crazy in that respect. And with that in mind, it's not real world. And if you would just go out to a job, you'd go out and meet people, and you're not just in this crazy conservative or lefty world, things would be a little bit different, ladies. Okay, there you go. Shannon isn't real. Yeah, it is. Tyler, check your DMs and play the video I sent you, or fuck myself, please. Only 5 minutes. Okay, let's do that. I'd rather do that than play this story. So I will stop this. Check my DMs sent link. There we go. All right, I got to take a look at what I trust, Magoo, that you are not going to send me astray. Okay, you've done these. You've been good to me before. Hang on. Tenant Media. Okay. Let's take a look. You say it's 5 minutes. It's 23 minutes, but you say 5-minute section. Okay. Who is this? I know this guy. Is this Matt something? I don't remember his name, but let's check it out.
Now, questions for Crowder. I mean, fundamentally, are Jared's accusations true?
Yeah.
Because I can grant all of this divorce meddling as true. It does nothing to address the question. Did you coerce Jared into the NDA with threats to go after him on non-compete terms? Did you, in fact, get him fired from his next job through a cease and desist, despite your contractual pledge not to do that? I can understand an NDA to protect yourself from disparagement, maybe. But why won't you let this guy work? And I invite the response to that. I just didn't hear a response to that today. Point wasn't even addressed at all. So even if this is just a coordinated negative PR campaign, well, negative PR campaigns can be true, and there are big allegations that went totally unaddressed in the
right.
response.
So that's good. By the way, I do like Matt Christensen, so thanks for sending this to me, Magoo. You can. And I had someone on Twitter. You know, I'm bullshitting. I posted that video that I had with Landau, the button thing, which, by the way, Anthony Cumia played that a few months ago. He played my video. It's a Libertarian Podcast review on there. He didn't give me any credit, but you could see it, and he said it, and he laughed about it. And then he goes, was that button really? You can see that? And the guy's like, no, that was edited in. Okay. But yeah, so someone on Twitter was saying, oh, you're slandering Crowder. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Truth is, I said he's unfunny and insufferable. That's an opinion. It's probably true as well. So I don't know that that's slander. So anyway, I mean, it's not.
Second question, if there was never a lawsuit ready for Jared, how is there a lawsuit immediately ready for Jared?
Right.
Gerald says point. Jared lied about getting sued, but now listen back a couple times. He did not lie about getting sued. Jared said very clearly he was being compelled into a deposition.
Yeah.
He never said he was getting sued. He said he was being legally harassed.
Yes.
So if Louder with Crowder never had any intent to sue Jared, how did they immediately have a lawsuit ready to go? And why did they have that ready to go? If this is all about just meddling, Jared meddling in the divorce and the divorce proceeding, why is the petition for his deposition so broad? Because Crowder isn't just looking to investigate Jared's communications with Hillary, which I could understand. Look at the list of names Crowder wants to investigate.
Shit.
It's 12 people long. You got Jeremy Boring, employees or representatives of the Daily Wire, or current or former employees of Louder with Crowder, or anybody else to whom Jared may have said something mean about Crowder himself or Louder with Crowder. If it is just about stopping the coordination and meddling in the divorce proceeding, why isn't the list Hillary and her parents or the rest of her family end of list? When Jared said, you know, I'm being legally harassed about communication with my friends, at first I thought, well, maybe that's a euphemism and he's just talking about Hillary. No, but by the looks of this list, it looks like he really is talking about a list much longer than that. Now, I don't buy this money claim at all. The central claim that is being made here is that of course, this is some extortion scheme. In fact, I think that exact language is used. This is an extortion scheme from Hillary, and Jared is being used as a pawn in that. That they're going to engage in this public pressure campaign to try to get more money out of him in the divorce proceeding. And let me find the exact screenshot. Okay, here's the screenshot with the Hillary communication. This is what they showed. This is what Gerald was arguing or presenting as evidence that Hillary's trying to get more money. The communication that is showed here is Hillary saying that the money offered to reach an agreement is good, but then she rejected it. And that is presented to say that she then wants more money, but that's not what this says. It says right there in the message, the money is good, but I want more freedom than that. And then Gerald mentions child custody in the video, on which there's apparently a disagreement. I don't know the specifics of that. I've heard that she wants shared custody. He wants full custody. I don't know. But there's some sort of custody dispute. Whatever the custody issue is, it is clear from this message that Hillary thinks the money is great, actually. But she doesn't care about the money, at least primarily. She thinks Stephen is asking for too much control in exchange. Potentially too much control of the children. But this message does not show what he's saying it shows. It does not show her being money hungry. It shows that she's not about the money, actually. She's about something else. This message implies that Stephen is trying to hand her a big bag of cash to get control, and she is saying, no, I don't want just a big bag of cash. I want something else. I want more freedom. Freedom to do what is the question. We don't know. That wasn't explained. I don't think this money claim is very honest at all. Why are all the damning messages, by the way, including this one, why are they stripped of any further context? There is 100% further explanation in this communication here as to what Hillary meant when she said she wants more freedom.
I'm going to stop right there. I really appreciate you sending me that, Magoo, because that was really good content from Matt Christensen. And it coincides to what I was saying, which is I think she was bundling the kids with the business and she wants more freedom. I see this. I've had parties try to buy out custody from the other side. Okay. Some people only interested in the money. So that's what it is. There you go. Podcast Review is going for full custody of the kids. I'm sorry if I missed that tonight. So it sounds like to me, not now. I think at one point he was, and at this, I don't know. And once again, this is my problem with the Gerald side, okay? Which is, if you're going to talk about these things, you're going to do these screenshots where you can hardly read it. Just give us the links. You said it's out there. Just fucking give us the link. Make it super easy, right? But I don't think you want to, because then the context comes into play. So a lot of your mug club buttfuckers will just say, I see a screenshot. There's my source out of context, and they're good to go. Review said it right, Tyler. Gerald the nerd. Gerald is a nerd. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I'm a bit of a nerd myself, though. All right, guys, I think that's it. That was off the cuff because I was frustrated, and maybe this will help some of those aspects of family law that you don't maybe understand. I hope I put it into perspective about what it is. And once again, you may or may not like it, but that's the way it is, which is spousal support, child support. And people, by the way, people are like, well, child support shouldn't go to be paying the attorney's fees. No, she's getting paid separate, but it depends on how much. And by the way, these are calculations that have been put into place. I don't know if they're great. I think sometimes, especially Californians, are really penal, okay, and difficult. And I don't know that it really helps, but I don't know where else you go at this point. So is it good in Texas? Is it not? I don't know so much. But once again, if you have a problem with it, you're going to have to say, how come this trad guy didn't set things up to begin with? He's not taking care of his wife. Maybe he picked the bad one. All these kind of aspects. It's real world situations. And here we are. Okay. So, the sad part is the kids get lost in this. Okay, guys, that was interesting. Thank you, everybody. I'm glad you came in. If you guys have questions about what took place here, I'm trying to ferret things out. And what I'm trying to tell you is how the real world works with this family law stuff. And so not get into a position where you're like Tim Pool, all up in arms that a rich guy is paying out of the community the money that they've made together, this bargain that they've made. He's now obligated to help her out as far as attorney's fees go, because no court wants to be able to come in there, have one party with all the money and all the control, and then the other party not to be able to have the benefit of using an attorney as well. It doesn't seem fair in a family law situation. I'm not talking about you and your neighbor, you against Tim Pool against Backpage or something like this. I don't know. Those are different situations. You have your own lot in life and you have to deal with it. If you can't afford an attorney, so be it. Maybe you and your wife can't afford an attorney. That is a different situation, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about communities and families. If you want them to live as best they can as a community in this trad, perhaps life or whatever, you're taking care of it, then what you have to do is assurances that on the out, that they're going to be taken care of as well. Okay. Because I'm not telling you that the wife needs to go in there with the prospect of getting out, but she needs to be able to, or he needs to be able to have assurances that there's good situation. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on all this. But please, my point is, I guess, let me know what you think about that. And if you think I'm completely incorrect, then there you go. I'm looking for the Tim Pool Brightside song, because that's the only way we can leave this show is with a Tim Pool Brightside intro to Timcast. There you go. There you go. All right, guys. Love you all. And by the way, I'm not a fan of this song, but I think it's hilarious. So Thank you, everybody. Until next week, maybe I'll do a little bit more work on this. I appreciate you joining me. Have a great weekend. I think Easter's coming up, so enjoy your Easter. And for those cyclists out there, Tour of Flanders.
Okay, I'm leaving now. Bye, guys.
But she's back.
And now.
Chick-fil-A is completely overrated. It's not that good. I prefer Zaxby's. I prefer Popeyes.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. And I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
Should I vote for Dick Cheney on the Libertarian Party? Do I have an obligation to vote for Dick Cheney?
I would say so.
Yes.
Did it work for those people?
No, it never does. I mean, these people somehow delude themselves into thinking it might, but it might work for us.
That one dude was like, not a podcast. I can't find it anywhere. And they don't have video.
Oh, yeah, Peter Janke. Yeah.
Yeah, I blocked him.
I'll do it. If he unblocks me, I'll...
He'll buy your shirt if you unblock him, Bert.
He's a wigger.
Yeah, nothing cooler than a 49-year-old wigger. I just started live streaming. Cut me some slack. I'm pretty high tech for a boomer. But anyways,
boomer.